My younger sister is the protagonist of a tragic novel. After being exploited by our parents and betrayed by her husband, she decides to end her life to make them regret their actions. I was reborn just as my sister Elise was about to give up on treatment. I rushed into the clinic and slapped her across the face. You have to get treated properly or I'll make your life a living hell. Elise covered her face, and upon seeing me, her eyes filled with tears. She threw herself into my arms. Sister, I miss you so much. Looking at my crying sister, I silently sighed. In my past life, I heard the news of Elise's death while abroad and I rushed back home immediately. I couldn't believe it until I saw her body. The sweet, obedient little sister I had always known was gone. Just 2 weeks prior, we had spoken on the phone and everything seemed fine. After her funeral, I collapsed from exhaustion. In my dreams, I discovered this world was actually a tragic novel, and my sister was its tragic heroine. She was supposed to serve the male lead, Derek, making tea, doing laundry, cooking, and giving everything she had. After all that, she was insulted by him and his first love. Heartbroken, she gave up on treatment when diagnosed with cancer, lying on her sickbed wondering whether Derek and our parents would regret it after she was gone. I felt nothing but anger and sorrow. How could my sister die like this? I couldn't understand why a heroine in a tragic novel would harm herself to make others regret their actions. So, when I was reborn, the first thing I did was pack my bags and return home. I rushed to the clinic, just in time to hear Elise say, "I don't want treatment anymore." Angry, I kicked the door open and slapped her across the face. This was a slap I had been wanting to give her in my previous life, and now that I had done it, I felt a strange sense of relief. Looking at Elise in my arms, I gently patted her back, still feeling some heartache. I then took out my phone and contacted the hospital director, informing him of Elise's condition. I told him not to worry about the cost and that I wanted the best medical team and the finest medications for her surgery. Once everything was arranged, I took Elise to my car, scolding her angrily. "Do you really think they'll regret it when you die? Maybe they'll be sad at first, but they'll move on with their lives. The only one who will truly be gone is you. You didn't even cherish your own life, yet you expect others to love you?" In my previous life, when Derek heard of Elise's death, he was indeed sad at first. The novel ended with him regretting it, but in a few days, women were flocking around him again. Everyone said they looked like Elise, and Derek was just fooling himself. People started pitying Derek, saying he had lost his future love while Elise had only lost her life. It was laughable. To me, Derek's actions were just those of a man who wanted a good reputation but couldn't control his desires. The real way to make someone regret their actions wasn't by harming yourself, but by making yourself better. You want them to regret? Let them see you improve, and when they see you, they'll wish they could slap themselves awake. After calming down, I looked at Elise and said softly, "Let's go to Derek's place, pack your things, and move to my place." Elise looked at me in surprise, and I said irritably, "Do you still want to stay at Derek's house?" She immediately shook her head. No wonder Elise was surprised. In the novel, Elise had often begged our father and mother to help her leave Derek and move back home, but they had always refused. This rejection was one of the reasons she had given up on life. We packed a single suitcase. When we arrived at Derek's house, Elise was preparing to leave when a woman in a tight professional outfit entered. She pretended to be surprised when she saw Elise, though she was secretly smug. "Yen Yen, you're home? Derek told me you wouldn't be here, so I came over." Then, she turned to me, pretending to be happy, and grabbed my hand. "You must be Yen Yen's sister, right? I've seen your photos. I'm Yen Yen's best friend, Fiona." I jerked my hand back. Best friend? More like enemy. So, this was Fiona, the white moonlight in Derek's life, and now his personal secretary. Fiona awkwardly withdrew her hand. Hearing footsteps behind her, she turned her face to the right and covered it with her hand, her voice trembling. "Yen Yen, Derek and I really have nothing going on. Why are you hitting me? I raised an eyebrow. Was this the new level of idiocy for villain plots in tragic novels? As soon as Derek entered and saw the scene, he rushed over and shielded Fiona behind him, glaring at Elise. Elise, what are you doing again? Elise was about to explain, but when she saw how Derek was protecting the woman behind him, she sighed softly. Sister, let's go. At this point, Derek noticed Elise's suitcase. Elise, are you leaving? Elise smiled lightly. Derek, this has never been my home. We walked past them and headed for the door. Just as I remembered something, I turned back and walked up to Fiona. I slapped her hard across the face. The slap was crisp and solid. Fiona staggered back a few steps, struggling to regain her balance. I raised an eyebrow and said, since you've already said we hit you, then this slap is well deserved. Fiona looked at Derek with grievance, but to her surprise, Derek completely ignored her, staring intensely at the suitcase in Elise's hand. Elise, if you dare leave this house, you'll never be allowed back again. This time, Elise didn't hesitate. She turned and walked out without looking back. I looked at Derek with a cold smile. I'll have the divorce agreement drafted by a lawyer in a few days and delivered to Derek. Elise will receive every penny of her rightful assets. Derek stared at me for a moment before saying, Are you Elise's sister? I nodded, since we had met at Elise's wedding before. Don't think my sister is easy to bully just because she doesn't have a maternal family. I'm here to back her up. Whatever decision she makes, I'll support her unconditionally. Derek had been treating Elise so recklessly because he was sure no one would stand by her. Even our parents were on his side, so naturally, he wasn't afraid of anything. But that was no longer the case now that I was here. I would not stand by and watch my sister be mistreated. Back at home, Elise suddenly grabbed the hem of my clothes. Sister, can I really divorce him? Mom and Dad always say that divorced women are worthless, that everyone will laugh at me, and even they won't want me anymore. I knew that from a young age, Elise had been subjected to constant criticism and pressure, leaving her feeling lost and fearful. That's why she had never dared to fight back. I gently patted her hand. Do you think it's your fault that Derek and Fiona are so close? Elise shook her head. Then is it your fault that you want a divorce? She shook her head again. Is it your fault that Mom and Dad will reject you because of your divorce? Elise hesitated for a moment, but still shook her head. I raised an eyebrow and smiled. So, none of this is your fault. What are you blaming yourself for? You have every right to end a relationship that makes you uncomfortable, whether it's love or family. This concept seemed foreign to Elise, and she didn't immediately understand. I continued, there are many people in this world who say they love you, but deep down, all they want is for you to do things that benefit them. In the end, they love only themselves. You need to care about the people who truly love you. As for the others? Just let them go. I had understood this idea long ago, which was why I left for abroad as soon as I became an adult, cutting off almost all contact with our parents. Elise nodded. I wasn't sure if she fully understood yet, but I hoped she would one day. After packing everything, I yanked Elise out of bed. Come on, sister, let me show you the world. In my view, Elise was so devoted to Derek because she had seen so little of the world. She needed to experience more and realize that there were countless other men out there. That way, she wouldn't get hung up on one. So I took Elise to a bar and arranged for 10 male models to be there. They were handsome, with chiseled abs, who wouldn't be tempted. Considering Elise's health, I ordered her some milk. Shay sitting next to me proudly looked at me. How about it? This welcoming party I arranged for you, isn't it impressive? I raised my glass and clinked it with hers. Perfect, only you could do something like this, my sister. Then I gave her a hard kiss on the cheek, which she pushed me away from with a disgusted look. Shay is the daughter of the CF family and my best friend. I've been living abroad for years, so I'm not familiar with many things in China. She's the one who handles most of it for me. Including this hospital matter with Elise, it was Shay who contacted everything in advance. I turned and saw Elise sitting awkwardly among the male models. I immediately demonstrated by touching one of the model's 8-pack abs, showing it to Elise. See, like this. Experience the joy of being a woman. Many women would love to touch, but they can't. Elise's face turned red instantly. She nervously touched the abs like I did and was about to pull her hand back, but suddenly froze. She looked up at me, her eyes full of surprise. My sister finally experienced the joy I was talking about. I raised an eyebrow at her. Remember, from now on, enjoy the good things in life. From the corner of my eye, I saw Derek not far away. It seemed he had come here with some friends and had already noticed us. When he saw Elise touching the model's abs, his face turned even darker. I sneered at the corner of my lips. What a disgusting scumbag. Finally, Derek couldn't hold back anymore and walked toward us. Elise, what are you doing here? This is not a place for you. I looked up at him. Why? Derek can come, but we can't? We're here for the same thing, fun. Elise didn't look at him as she sat there. Derek stared at her, let out a long sigh, and softened his tone. Elise, what do you want? You already married me, which was a big step up. You're eating and dressing well at home. Just live the life of a rich wife. What's there to be dissatisfied with? Do you know how many people envy that kind of life? Yes, I admit that I might have been a little too close to Fiona, but that was just playing along. She had problems, and as a friend, I helped her. I'm already so tired from being out there every day. I just want my woman to be more generous. Shay leaned over and sat beside me. Listen to this, is this even human talk? I nodded. Definitely not. Derek grabbed Elise's hand, saying, as long as you come back home with me now and be a good wife and mother, I'll pretend nothing ever happened. We can go back to how things were, okay? This time, I didn't speak, wanting to see Elise's reaction. If Elise chooses to return to Derek, then I'll wash my hands of her affairs from now on. Good advice is hard to give to a stubborn soul, so I'll just pretend I never had this sister. To my surprise, Elise immediately yanked her hand away from Derek's and flung herself into the arms of a male model. Go back home with you? Do you have their physique? Can you treat me the way they can? If not, then don't bother me. I hope my man can be more generous too. Hearing this, I couldn't help but smile lightly. Elise's words hit Derek's weak spot. Although he was handsome, his physique certainly couldn't compare to the male models. One of the male models gently embraced Elise, saying, this guy looks terrifying. Doesn't he know how to care for his sister? Derek's face darkened to the extreme. I scoffed, what, Derek? Do you want a red flag at home while waving colorful flags outside? Maybe you should go home and sleep. In your dreams, everything will be perfect. Derek gritted his teeth, you'd better not regret this. With that, he stormed off in anger. Considering Elise's health, we decided to break up the gathering early. But no one expected Derek's retaliation to come so quickly. Elise had partnered up with a friend to open a beauty company. Since Derek didn't like her being in the limelight, she had entrusted the management to her friend. But this morning, Elise received a call from her friend, informing her that the deal they had already secured was taken by another company due to pressure from Derek. The head of that company was Fiona's brother. If this deal fell through, Elise's company would face a cash flow crisis and could go bankrupt. Upon hearing this news, Elise went straight to Derek's office. She threw the contract in front of him and asked, did you do this? Derek glanced at it and smirked, it's just a small collaboration. Fiona's brother is starting his business, so I helped him out. Elise's tone was icy, I've been married to you for 2 years, and I'm still not as good as Fiona's brother? Do you know that your so-called small cooperation is directly related to the future of our company? Derek shrugged indifferently. I never liked you working outside. If the company goes under, it's perfect. You can stay home with me. I won't treat you badly. Derek stepped forward, trying to embrace Elise, but she backed away. She sneered, You won't treat me badly? You wouldn't treat Fiona badly either, right? Let me live here, watching you get all cozy with her. And then end up in bed together? Derek's face darkened. Elise. Watch your words. Elise continued, So in your eyes, I'm just a caged bird, someone you keep at home. Derek, let's get a divorce. It was no longer just me suggesting the divorce. This time, Elise herself said it, and that gave it weight. Derek's face clearly began to panic. If you really divorce me, your company will be finished. I'll do whatever it takes to bring it down. Elise looked at him with a gaze full of disappointment. At that moment, I stepped forward slowly. Is that so? I'm afraid you're not capable of that. I deliberately chose this moment to step in and show Elise Derek's true colors. Derek's eyes grew hazy, and he sneered, You've been abroad for so long. What can you do to help her? Crushing her is like crushing an ant to me. I slowly pulled out my phone and dialed, Hugo, the contract we discussed before, we can sign it this afternoon. Upon hearing Hugo's name, Derek's pupils dilated. After all, Hugo was the president of one of the top beauty companies in the country, and his name was well known in the industry. Derek didn't believe it. Serena, even if you have some connections abroad, there's no need to brag. Hugo is someone you can just call? I raised an eyebrow. You can't, but that doesn't mean I can't. With that, I grabbed Elise's hand and walked out. Once we were outside of Derek's building, Elise couldn't help but ask how I managed to secure the deal with Sheen's company. I didn't answer her immediately and just told her to hurry up and get ready for the reception at the office. Elise immediately ran off in a hurry. The reason Hugo agreed to the partnership was because I promised to design a custom dress for his wife. Not long ago, Hugo had upset his wife, and since she adored the clothes I designed, Hugo hoped that my designs would help him make amends. My custom orders were scheduled until next year, and no amount of money could cut the line. This time, it was a mutual favor. However, since this was a private matter for Hugo, I didn't mention it to Elise. In the afternoon, the contract was successfully signed. Hugo gave them the largest new product discount for their beauty live stream. Elise and her colleagues were so excited they hugged each other, nearly bursting into tears. This was both an opportunity and a challenge. How to maximize the effectiveness of the live stream, grab the attention of netizens, and choose the right hosts for the broadcast, all these were problems to solve. While they were both worrying about this, I casually spoke up, How about Elise taking on the role of the host? What do you think? Elise was surprised. Me? I nodded. On one hand, you have a great image and temperament, and you would be perfect as a host. On the other hand, you understand this product better than anyone else. You can answer any questions about it. You also know how important this live stream is. So, you're the best candidate. Plus, it'll save the company money, why not? The others in the company all agreed enthusiastically. Elise was a bit hesitant, but with everyone's encouragement, she decided to give it a try. This was a chance for Elise to push herself and grow. I couldn't always be there for her, she had to become independent. Only by building her self-confidence and a strong inner core would she stop being influenced by the careless words of others. I patted Elise on the shoulder and said, Go for it. Show those who look down on you what you're made of. Elise clenched the contract in her hand, seemingly understanding my intentions. She nodded with determination. Thus began the days of learning speech techniques and mastering the live stream rhythm, studying the art of being a host. When the live broadcast officially started, Elise's hard work and natural charm quickly won over the audience. With the brand's well-known reputation, no one doubted the quality of the products. The live stream room took off, and because of this collaboration, Elise's company officially entered the beauty industry. Watching the live stream room, which had been dull for so long, gradually fill with energy, Elise became more and more confident. Beautiful sister, you're so pretty. Your skin is flawless. If I buy from you, I know it'll be right. Pretty, close to me. Who could not love a gentle sister like you? I've already placed an order. What else do you have? From now on, I'll buy all my cosmetics from you. I don't care, I'm in love now. I'll live in your live stream room forever. Elise's friends gleefully read the comments from the viewers. Elise blushed deeply, but the smile on her face was radiant. No matter how beautiful a girl is, she will be happy to receive compliments. Especially for Elise, who had always lived under the oppression and belittlement of her husband and parents. That afternoon, Elise needed to go to the hospital for a pre-surgery checkup, so I told her to wait for me at the company entrance, and I'd pick her up. However, just as I drove to the company building, I saw Derek and Elise not far away, arguing and pulling at each other. Derek grabbed Elise's arm forcefully. Elise, who allowed you to show your face in the live stream? Didn't you see what people are saying about you in the live stream? Do you like being pointed at like this? Do you still have any shame? Don't forget, you're still Elise. Elise scoffed. Before, no one recognized me as Elise. From now on, I won't be Elise anymore. The divorce agreement has already been sent to your email by my sister's lawyer. If you're okay with it, let's set a time to sign it in person. Derek's expression was complicated. Are you really going to divorce me? Elise, I never intended to divorce you. Elise forcefully pulled away from Derek's grasp, but now I want a divorce. If you're unwilling, then we'll meet in court. I don't think you want to make it too ugly, right? Elise saw my car approaching and ran toward me, bypassing Derek. Derek turned and shouted at Elise, do you really think those people like you? There are so many pretty girls in live streams. How long can you keep it up? It'll just be a flash in the pan. At the end, you'll still be kneeling at my feet begging me. When a person realizes they can no longer control something, they often try to belittle the other party to regain control. But Elise wasn't buying into that anymore. After the hospital checkup, Elise's condition looked optimistic. No other areas were affected, and the success rate of the surgery was high. Both of us let out a slight breath of relief. Just as we were about to head home, Elise received a phone call. After hearing the news, she looked at me with a complex expression. What's wrong? I asked. Elise hesitated. My parents saw the live stream too. They're waiting for us outside our house. I was stunned for a moment, then nodded. As for how her parents, who usually didn't go online, found out about the live stream, it was definitely Derek who told them. He likely wanted them to act as mediators. I drove back home, and as soon as the elevator doors opened, I saw the two familiar figures. As soon as I opened the door, they walked in without waiting. Elise's parents, Serena's father and mother, immediately began scolding her. You stupid girl, why are you doing live streams with people from outside? Those are things only unworthy girls do. We are proper people. You better quit that and go home to live with Derek. Elise wasn't happy to hear her parents belittle her job. Who told you that this is improper? Was it Derek? Serena's mother slapped Elise on the back. You dare talk back? Being discussed online isn't improper? Derek is a big boss, and you're his wife. You should put him first in everything. What will his business friends think if you do live streams? You're just embarrassing him. Elise's face turned cold. I don't care about his business. I've already decided to divorce him. Serena's father was furious. You dare? If you divorce Derek, we'll disown you as our daughter. Serena's mother tried to advise her. What will you do after the divorce? A divorced woman is trash, no one will want you. Derek might mess around outside, but what man doesn't cheat? Derek is a big boss. After this, you won't find anyone as good as him. Listen to your mother, let's endure it for now. Once you have children, you'll have your footing, and everything will be fine. I had a front row seat to watch Serena's parents' verbal tactics. No wonder Elise had been pushed to give up treatment in her past life. Living in this kind of family environment, you'd either go mad or break down eventually. But Elise had changed, she no longer chose to compromise. You don't need to say any more. I'm definitely getting a divorce. Serena's father threatened, if you dare divorce him, we will disown you. Not only will you lose your husband, but you'll lose your family too. I'll see how you'll handle that. I immediately made my position clear. Who says that? I will always recognize her as my sister. I will never let her suffer because of some man who has nothing to do with us. Serena's father was so angry that he couldn't catch his breath. Serena, at this point, you're still opposing us? Can't you stand to see your sister doing well? I sneered, it's just a divorce. If I didn't know better, I'd think someone had died. You guys are still as suffocating as before. If it weren't for that, I wouldn't have cut off contact with my family at such a young age. Serena's mother glared at me viciously. I told you, that's why Yen Yen turned out like this. It must be you who's been behind all this. You didn't learn well yourself, and now you want to drag your sister down with you. You ungrateful little thing, I'll beat you to death. Serena's mother moved to strike me, but I dodged, stepping aside. Do you think I'm still the obedient Serena who stood there letting you hit me? When I was little, I was often beaten by my parents for not listening to them. I didn't even know how many belts they broke over my back. I opened the door with a cold expression. This is my house. Please leave immediately. Don't come back here again. If you do, I'll call the police. Serena's parents realized they couldn't talk sense into me and reached for Elise to drag her out. But Elise immediately stepped back. Dad, Mom, I'm not going with you. If you refuse to recognize me because of my divorce, then there's nothing I can do. Serena's parents, unable to convince their youngest daughter, stormed out in anger. I closed the door behind them and looked at Elise with concern. After all, she was still sick and shouldn't be emotionally agitated. To my surprise, Elise looked completely at ease. Sis, I've remembered everything you said. At that moment, I smiled contentedly. Yes, for people who don't love you, just treat them like farts, let them go. Because of the huge success of the collaboration with Hugo's company, Elise's company gradually began attracting attention from other businesses. Some events and parties even started sending them invitations. For instance, tonight's International Charity Gala, both Elise and I were on the guest list. That day, Elise received a text from Derek. Be my date tonight, or I'll take Fiona instead. Derek had never asked her opinion before about such events. He always took Fiona without consulting Elise. Elise chose to ignore it. I smiled confidently. It's fine, he can take Fiona. Let him embarrass himself if he dares. Since Derek had the audacity to use Serena's parents to threaten Elise, I wasn't about to let him get off easily. That evening, when Elise and I entered the venue, we saw Derek talking to Fiona and some other businessmen. When Fiona noticed us, she shot us a provocative glance. I responded with a teasing smile. Soon, Fiona wasn't able to keep up her cocky attitude. This gala wasn't just for businessmen, there were also many wealthy second-generation heirs who enjoyed living it up abroad. And these were people Fiona had known and partied with when she was abroad before she left Derek. Soon, someone recognized Fiona. Are you Fiona? Wow, long time no see. Fiona, looking a bit uneasy, quickly denied, sorry, I'm not Fiona. You must have mistaken me for someone else. Derek immediately noticed the awkwardness and asked the man, do you know her? The man gave an ambiguous smile, of course we do. Not only do we know her, but when Fiona was abroad, she had quite a bit of fun with us. Let's just say she's pretty familiar with most of our brothers. The man's words were vague, but everyone there understood, including Derek, who now felt completely humiliated. Fiona attempted to grab Derek's hand, but he harshly shook her off. It was understandable. His longtime crush, the white moonlight, was revealed to be this kind of person. Anyone would break down in such a situation. I told Elise the whole story, and she laughed so hard that her back hurt. Seeing her like this, I knew she had completely given up on Derek. But Derek didn't seem ready to give up on her just yet. Sure enough, not long after, I saw him pull Elise into the garden outside the venue. Elise looked at the man in front of her with disdain. Derek, do you really think I'd sacrifice my hard-earned career just to stay with an unfaithful husband? Derek didn't think his proposal was a problem, but you used to love me so much, didn't you? I promise I'll treat you better from now on. You don't have to keep this up. Elise answered firmly, loving you was a long time ago. Now, just looking at you disgusts me. Derek, please show some self-respect. I still have many things to do. Derek, clearly a bit defeated, begged, Yen, can't you forgive me just one more time? Elise didn't hesitate for a moment. No, because you're trash, and this isn't a trash recycling center. With that, Elise walked away with ease. I almost wanted to clap for her. As her surgery approached, Elise started to stay in the hospital to rest. I called Serena's parents to tell them the truth about Elise's condition, as well as the date and place of the surgery. Not because I expected any emotional support from them, but I wanted Elise to at least have their backing before the surgery. But they were still angry about her decision to divorce Derek and refused to come, even after hearing about her cancer and surgery. Thankfully, the surgery was a success. When Elise woke up and saw me, she slowly smiled. Sis, I made it through. I was a little teary-eyed as I patted her head. I knew you'd pull through. The next day, when I walked into her hospital room, I saw Derek crying beside her bed. Yen, I had no idea it was this serious. Did you leave me because of this? I knew it, you love me so much, how could you just stop loving me? You must have been worried about dragging me down. As Elise was about to speak, Derek grabbed her hand and continued, Yen, you can't die. Now I realize how important you are to me. I'll love you better from now on, and we'll grow old together, okay? I almost rolled my eyes to the sky. No doubt, Derek had found out about the hospital address from Serena's parents. They probably exaggerated the whole thing, making it sound like Elise left him out of love and not wanting to drag him down. Elise pulled her hand away and looked at Derek as if he were a fool. Did Derek have a mental illness? Maybe he should see a specialist. I'm not going to die, Derek. I'm going to live, and I'll live better without you. At that moment, Elise's eyes shone with a new light. After narrowly escaping death, she had finally found the courage to fly solo. Derek stood there, staring at Elise, his eyes slowly fading with despair. Is there really no chance to fix this? Elise's tone was resolute. I'll say it one last time, if you insist on not divorcing, I'll take it to court. I hope we can part on good terms. In the end, Derek stumbled out of the room, his back hunched, looking like a hurt, passionate man. If only people knew how empty that was. I really wanted to give him a good kick in the rear. Why did it take him so long to realize? What a fool. The day Elise was discharged from the hospital, they went to the Civil Affairs Bureau and finalized the divorce. Half of their marital assets were divided equally. However, not long after, the press revealed photos of Derek with his secretary going in and out of hotels multiple times during their marriage. They looked very close, almost like lovers. There were even pictures of them kissing on a hidden street. The affair was confirmed, and the news exploded online. Many netizens flooded Derek's Weibo with criticism. Derek's PR team initially tried to spin the story by creating an image of Derek and Fiona as childhood sweethearts, claiming that they only separated because of family pressure and that Elise was the third party who broke them apart. But to their surprise, it wasn't long before more photos of Fiona surfaced, photos of her being intimate with different men abroad, dressed provocatively and engaging in open flirtations. This was completely contrary to the image of the innocent white moonlight people had in their minds. trying to manipulate public opinion only led to a backlash. The news quickly spread, severely damaging Derek's and his company's reputation. Many partners announced they were terminating their contracts with Derek's company and demanded compensation for the breach of contract. Derek's company's stock price plummeted, and an emergency board meeting was held that night. Less than a month later, an official statement was released announcing that Derek would no longer serve as the company's president. Derek's parents expressed their disappointment in a press conference, emphasizing that they had more than one son. Soon, Derek's younger brother took over the family business. To make matters worse, paparazzi caught Fiona and Derek arguing on the street. In a heated moment, Derek even slapped Fiona. Their breakup was ugly in public. When Elise saw the news, she suddenly turned to me and asked, "Sis, this wasn't you, was it?" I casually popped a strawberry into my mouth and said nonchalantly, "If it wasn't me, who else could it be?" Elise gave me a thumbs up, "But with a secret weapon like that, why didn't you use it sooner?" I looked at Elise like she was an idiot. "I didn't do it earlier because I wanted you to get a better settlement in the divorce. If we did it before the divorce, the compensation and losses would have to be paid by you." Seeing that the cold treatment didn't work, and with Derek completely fallen from grace, Serena's parents came back, trying to repair their relationship with Elise, but she shut them out. They then showed up at Elise's company, bringing journalists with them, trying to use family ties and public opinion to pressure her. Elise had them kicked out by security. Then, in front of the reporters, Elise played the recording of when they came to our house to scold her. Many people online were furious and began criticizing Serena's parents, saying that parents like them were better off not existing. They knew they had lost control of Elise. In the end, we signed an agreement with Serena's parents. They would go back to their hometown, and we would provide basic living expenses every month, but otherwise, we wouldn't interfere in each other's lives. Given how selfish and self-serving they were, we felt like we had done enough. Later, we heard that after Derek was ousted from the company, he became addicted to alcohol and gambling. He racked up huge debts, and his creditors came after him. His family, utterly disappointed with him, kicked him out. When the creditors realized he couldn't pay, they broke one of his legs. Afterward, there were no more updates about Derek in the social circles. Someone once claimed to have seen a man who resembled Derek rummaging through trash, but no one knew if it was actually him. As for Fiona, after the constant scandals and her breakup with Derek, no wealthy man would look at her again. Even if someone just wanted to have fun, they thought she was dirty. In the end, she was married off to a fat man in his 50s by her younger brother. The last time I saw her, it was on the news. Her husband, drunk, was abusing her. She called the police, crying in front of reporters, wanting a divorce. But none of that mattered to Elise anymore. She had truly transformed from a passive victim into the lead role in her own life. She poured all her energy into her career, and her company grew stronger and stronger, even expanding overseas. She finally understood that only by being strong could she stop relying on anyone else and take control of her own life. As for me, after handling this mess, I left the country and settled abroad, continuing my work as a fashion designer. Whenever I saw friends around me get carried away by love, I would casually slap some sense into them to wake them up.